Forget everything you've seen in the movies. The real power isn't in the hands of the warden. Behind steel doors and concrete walls lies an invisible empire ruled not by the laws of the state, but by blood and fear. Who are these shackled kings, running multi-million-dollar businesses from solitary confinement? Today, we rip off the masks and expose the true masters of America's prisons. Brace yourselves. This is going to be raw. To understand how this underground system works, you have to go back to the beginning. Prison isn't just a place of isolation, it's a separate society, a predatory ecosystem. When a person enters, they're stripped of everything: freedom, name, future. They become just a number. In this vacuum of fear and despair, the only way to survive is to belong to a pack, a family, a gang. A prison gang is your shield and your sword. It's protection from violence, access to goods more valuable than gold, cigarettes, drugs, even cell phones. But this protection comes at a price. You pay with loyalty, you pay with blood. And the first rule of this world is blood in, blood out. To join a gang, you must commit murder. The only way to leave is by dying. Let's start with a legend, the very top of this bloody pyramid, the Aryan Brotherhood, or the Brand. These guys aren't just a gang, they're a corporation of evil built on white supremacy. They emerged in the 1960s at San Quentin Prison as a response to the unity of Black and Mexican inmates. Their motto is simple: we must kill to get in. They are ghosts. They make up only 1% of the prison population, but are responsible for over 20% of all murders behind bars. The leaders of the Brand run their empire with incredible audacity. One of them, Barry Mills, nicknamed the Baron, coordinated drug trafficking and contract killings across the country while locked in a maximum security prison. How? They used complex ciphers, invisible ink, and even a sign language that only the elite could understand. They turned the prison into their office and the guards into their unwitting couriers. But if the Aryan Brotherhood is a scalpel, the Mexican Mafia, or La M, is a sledgehammer. It's one of the oldest and most powerful gangs, born on the streets of Los Angeles and forged in the fires of prison wars. Their symbol is the Black Hand. If you see that tattoo, know that you're facing a cartel soldier who will not hesitate to kill on the order of his carnal, or brother. La M controls nearly every Hispanic street gang in Southern California. From inside prison, they collect taxes on every deal made on the outside. Don't pay up, they'll come for you. It doesn't matter if you're in the next cell or on the other side of the country, the hand of La M will reach you. Their power is so absolute, they can stop a war between street gangs with a single phone call, or start one. The legendary story of Rene Boxer, a former leader of La M, tells it all. He revealed the organization was so disciplined that it could issue a death sentence to a member just for a disrespectful tone of voice. One wrong word and your life is over. This is a world with no room for error, where the price for a mistake is always death. They called it politics. But for every force, there is an opposing force. In Northern California, another power was born, Nuestra Familia, which means our family. They are the sworn enemies of La M. Their war has raged for decades, painting the prison yards red. This isn't just a fight for territory. It's a war of ideologies, a war between two families where no prisoners are taken. Their symbol is a sombrero with a dagger. Members of Nuestra Familia are known for their fierce loyalty and rigid military-style hierarchy. They have generals, captains, and soldiers. They have their own constitution, which every member must know by heart. Betrayal is punished by death, not just for the traitor, but for their entire family on the outside. This is a war to the last breath, and it will never end. What about the African American gangs? Here, the Black Guerrilla family enters the stage. Unlike many others, they didn't start as common criminals. Their founder was George Jackson, an associate of the Black Panthers. Their ideology was Marxism and the overthrow of the U.S. government. They saw themselves not as convicts, but as revolutionaries, waging a war from behind bars. The BGF became famous for their audacity and organization. They recruited the most educated and politically active inmates into their ranks. They established connections with radical leftist groups on the outside, planning prison breaks and even terrorist acts. For them, prison wasn't the end of the road, it was a new front in the fight for freedom. Their story is a volatile mix of crime and politics.
And of course, we can't forget the Bloods and the Crips. Their infamous rivalry, which began on the streets of Compton and Inglewood, carried over behind the walls. But inside, everything changed. In prison, old enemies are sometimes forced to form alliances to stand against larger, more organized syndicates like the Aryan Brotherhood or La M. Prison breaks old rules and writes new ones. Under the Bloods banner, the United Blood Nation was formed to push back against Hispanic gangs on the East Coast. This shows how the imprisoned environment forces enemies to evolve. Yesterday's rival on the street might be your only ally in the cell block. Here, it's not the strongest who survives, but the smartest and most adaptable. So how do they communicate? How do they pass orders through dozens of walls and security checkpoints? Their ingenuity would make any spy jealous. They use kites, notes hidden in books, passed through bribed guards, or even flushed down toilets to be caught in another cell. They speak in codes that no one but them can understand. They use complex visual cues, the position of their hands, the tilt of their head, the way their shoelaces are tied. All of it can be a message. A murder can be ordered with a single gesture that a guard would mistake for a simple scratch. It's an invisible war being fought in plain sight, but only seen by those who know the rules. The economy of this empire is staggering. We're not talking about packs of cigarettes. We're talking about millions of dollars. Drugs, weapons, prostitution, contract killings. All of it is managed behind bars. Gang leaders, even in total isolation, live like kings. They have the best lawyers. Their families on the outside are provided for, and their businesses run like clockwork. For them, prison is not a punishment. It's a university of crime. Here, a petty street thief can fall under the wing of a mafia boss, and a few years later walk free as a trained specialist in money laundering or drug trafficking. Prison doesn't rehabilitate. It provides advanced qualifications. It's a conveyor belt that turns bad guys into true monsters. Many guards and prison staff become part of the system themselves. Some are bribed, others are blackmailed with threats against their families. The line between inmate and guard blurs. A guard who smuggles in a phone or drugs for a gang leader is no longer an agent of the law. He's a cog in a criminal machine, and he fears his ward more than his own boss. There is no room for weakness in this system. Every day is a test of strength. You can be killed for looking at someone the wrong way, for saying the wrong thing, for sitting at the wrong table in the mess hall. It's a constant state of tension where instincts are sharpened to a razor's edge. The only one who survives is the one ready to turn from prey to predator in a split second. The legends of these walls are passed down by word of mouth. Stories of daring escapes, of brutal executions of traitors, of leaders who could incite a riot across the entire prison with a single word. These men become myths. Their names inspire terror and respect years after their deaths. They are the dark gods of this man-made hell, and their cult will live forever. Think about what happens when these men are released. They don't return to a normal life. They emerge with new connections, new knowledge, and even greater brutality. The prison system unleashes them back onto our streets, and the war continues right here. What began in a cramped cell spills onto the avenues of our cities in a wave of blood. It's a vicious cycle. The street creates a criminal. The criminal goes to prison. The prison turns him into a mafia soldier. The soldier is released and recruits new warriors for his army. The system doesn't just fail. It actively fuels the very war it's supposed to be fighting. And in this war, the losers are you and me, the ordinary citizens. They call themselves brotherhoods and families. They create an illusion of order and justice in a world of chaos. But behind these noble words lies only one thing: the savage law of the jungle, where the right of the strongest is absolute. Their codes of honor are written in blood, and their oaths of loyalty are sealed with death.
The scariest part is that this empire is constantly growing. It spreads its tendrils into the justice system, into politics, into legitimate businesses. The lines between the world behind bars and our world are becoming increasingly blurred. And one day, we might wake up to find that the real masters aren't sitting in mansions, but in prison cells. There's the myth of John Sonny Franzese, a mob boss from the Colombo family. He spent decades in prison, but even at 100 years old, confined to a wheelchair, he remained an active mafioso. His word was law. It proves that in this world, status and power have no expiration date. They are as eternal as human cruelty itself. Or consider the story of how the Aryan Brotherhood ordered the assassination of two of its own leaders who decided to cooperate with the authorities. The order was given from inside a prison and carried out on the outside. This was a message to everyone: you can run from us, but you can never hide. Their network of total control and fear is flawless. The power of these syndicates is built on three pillars: money, information, and violence. They control the flow of drugs, reaping enormous profits. They have informants everywhere, knowing the prison administration's every move. And they use the most brutal violence without hesitation to crush any dissent and maintain their power. Their hierarchy is ironclad. At the top is the Commission, a council of leaders who make strategic decisions. Below them are captains, responsible for specific prisons or blocks. Further down are lieutenants and soldiers, the foot soldiers. Everyone knows their place, and moving up this ladder is only possible through spilled blood. In this world, tattoos aren't just decorations. They are a passport, a biography, and a service record. A teardrop under the eye can mean a murder. A spiderweb on the elbow can represent years served. Runes, crosses, acronyms, these are all signs by which one of us can instantly read who is in front of them: friend, foe, veteran, or rookie. A mistake in a symbol can cost you your life. This system seems indestructible. The state spends billions fighting prison gangs, building supermax facilities where leaders are held in total isolation 23 hours a day. But even from there, through a tiny slot for food, they manage to pass orders and run their underground empires. Their will cannot be broken by concrete. Why? Because the gang gives them something they never had on the outside: respect, status, a sense of belonging, and a purpose. For many of them, prison is their true home, and the gang is the only family they have ever known. And for this family, they are willing to kill and die without asking any questions. There's even an unwritten rule: gang business should not involve civilians, the wives and children of enemies. But in the most brutal wars, this rule is broken. Then the conflict escalates to a new level of horror, where nothing is sacred.
The murder of women and children becomes a way to send a message to rivals. This world is governed by its own unforgiving logic. It is a reflection of the darkest parts of human nature, amplified by the hopeless environment of prison. These men are not just criminals. They are kings of a dark and brutal kingdom, and their influence stretches far beyond the walls that are supposed to contain them. This war for power is happening right now, this very second, and it will never end. If you want to learn more about how these gangs run their businesses on the outside and the wars they wage on our streets, subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. Your support is the fuel that drives these investigations. And now for the hook. If this video gets 1,000 likes, I'll release a second part detailing the bloodiest prison war in US history, the battle between the Aryan Brotherhood and the Black Guerrilla family. Trust me, what happened there will make your blood run cold. It's all up to you. Let me know in the comments which gang you want to hear about next. See you soon.